insurance doesn't cover it. Medication is out of control. And even when they're giving you coupons to get the medication at $100 off, you're still looking at $3,000.
Yeah, my God. Yeah.
It's so you have to really be in. And I think that's what deters people when they're younger, because it's just like, well, this is such a huge expense.
Okay, so excited to have you here, Lyndsey. Thank you so much for joining us on Quiet the Clock. We got an opportunity to talk last week, so we have so much good stuff to talk about. But I want to just dive in, and I know our conversation is going to take many directions, but I want to start with the egg freezing part of your journey, because I think it's so inspiring, it's hopeful, it's reassuring, because, and you were very open and honest on social media, which I think is great, but you froze for the first time in your 40s.
Mm-hmm. We are freezing at 40. That's kind of what I've been hashtagging, is freezing at 40 or 40 and freezing, because it's not something that many people talk about. I was looking up, what could I hashtag? And no one's talking about it.
Really?
And I don't know if people aren't doing it or they're just not talking about it. I feel like social media kind of gives you an opportunity to share this stuff. And this is something that people just maybe are afraid of or aren't doing and are cautious. And I just want
and you had this experience, and I want to share this, or they're being told they can't do it in their 40s. And I think that we're working to create conversations and new understanding around what is actually possible, and not just trusting a doctor that might tell us otherwise. And we had one other woman that froze in her 40s, and same, like, she felt so passionate about sharing it and giving hope and saying, it's, you know, it's not too late if you're in your 40s. Here, I did it. And that's why I love that you're doing the same thing, because I think it's so, again, hopeful and informative to say, hey, it doesn't mean, 35 is not the cliff. So if you're in your 40s and you're still thinking you want to be a mother, or you want to have the option, go for it.
And it's something I've known since I was little.
Yeah.
That was the dream. I hope that I get to be an actress and TV host and do things that I love, but being a mom was the number one thing I've always wanted.
Yes.
And as you get into your 30s and you find out you're in a geriatric pregnancy, and all the doctors are telling you, ooh, you didn't freeze by now? Well, probably not going to happen for you. And I just remember breaking down and crying and calling my dad.
Share that experience, because your doctor told you that at 34.
34, I believe she said that to me. And I kind of was numb and went silent, because what does one say then? Okay, I guess it's too late, because it's something that I had talked about with a roommate in my 20s and talked to other people that had done egg freezing, but not for themselves, for like egg donation.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's the context you knew it in first.
Yeah. I didn't even
not
know
for yourself.
that I could use it. I didn't think I'd have to.
Well,
I never, ever thought I'd have to worry about that.
Let's talk about that, because that comes up a lot. Like, we never imagined that we would have to. We just imagine that it's going to go the way that everybody's told us it's going to go, that you're going to, graduate college, you get the job, and then you meet the person, then you get married, and then you have, but it doesn't go that way. And I think a lot of women I guess the landscape is very different, which I think is so amazing, is that there's more conversation, there is more information. I think women are able now, because of that, to make decisions sooner, because there's more conversations around, it doesn't always go that way. So let's start talking about that, and let's start planning for that. But I think if you hadn't, for me, at freezing at 37, I never knew anyone other than one person that did it. And so I was in I have to do this. I didn't think I would have to do this. I'm angry that I have to do this place. But yes, I think that's so important when you said, because that comes up for so many women. Like, I didn't plan to do this. Like, I didn't think I would have to do this.
And I have two girlfriends that have done it in the last couple of years. One that just is doing kind of what I am, where it's an insurance policy. Just in case it doesn't happen, then I've got this backup.
Yes.
And then I have another girlfriend that did it in hopes of IVF and creating embryos with her husband, because they were having trouble. Mm-hmm. And so both of them have gone through the shots, are walking me through this process and are encouraging me. And in the last year, that same doctor that told me at 34, a year later, they started filling out forms about giving people feedback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bedside manner, experience.
And I think a bunch of people had written that she was just a little brash and harsh.
That's a nice way to say it.
And all of a sudden, I remember coming in and I had, lost my mom, had gone through a breakup. And she's like, Lyndsey, you're doing a really good job and I'm really proud of you. And she just hugged me and I was like, oh my gosh.
You're like, who is this person?
And then she goes, oh yeah, you've got plenty of time to freeze yet. I'm like, what?
Whiplash.
This whole time that I thought that I didn't. And I don't know if that's really what she thought at the time or if it was just...
But sometimes we put so much trust in our doctors, right? We're like, okay, if that's what they're saying. That's why it's so nice now that there are so many resources. There's so many options. There's, it's so important to be with a doctor or be at a place that you feel comfortable, heard, taken care of, that are advocating for you, that are instilling hope in you, because it can be, it's a hard process. So you need those people in your corner that are cheering you on.
And I think because then I got into a relationship a few years ago where my partner had already snipped because he had 3 kids. So that was the end. He was like, I don't want more kids with her. And that was the first thing I said when we met. I want to get married and I want to have kids. If you don't want those things,
for you.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's totally okay. But then you're just not for me, because those are important things. Those are values I have.
I love that you say that up front. I think a lot of women sort of go back and forth in deciding when it's appropriate to say that.
And I think when talking to someone, if it's just fun and you're being silly and you're going to go on a few dates and it's not really going to go anywhere. But 6 hours into conversation, that we had been talking for 6 hours that night after we'd met, it kind of came up. It was like, all right, well, we clearly get along well. And he was like, I'm all in. Absolutely. And I said, and he goes, but I had a vasectomy. I said, well, I guess you'll figure it out.
Yeah. So I want to, because that sort of relationship plays into your timeline, because I want to kind of walk through, like, 34, the doctor tells you too late. A year later, it's a different thing. Now you're 35. So from 35.
Forward, yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I'm 35. It's just telling me.
Yeah. So 35 to, did you think about it in those years at all?
I think, well, then COVID hit.
Right.
So all of a sudden this happens and I can't even really go in for my appointments. And it's like, well, maybe I do have a little bit more time. She told me I had time. So I'm like, okay, I have time. I'm going to meet someone. And I meet someone, you start dating and it kind of like goes good. And then you just kind of pull back and you're like, it's going to happen. I'm not going to have to do this. It's going to happen. And then I meet someone where
they're saying
it physically can't happen because it's impossible, that this is what we're going to have to do. Whether it's creating embryos, whether it's freezing eggs, we're going to have to go through IVF at some point, extracting sperm. I'm going through all these things, figuring out how can we do this?
Right. How is it actually possible?
How is it possible?
Yeah.
And I'm ready to do that because this is what I want for the future. And I don't want to wait. We're not in a place right now to get married and try and do this. So better to freeze now and have these and have the embryos, because it's way better to have that.
Yes.
Than to just have the eggs, because once then the doctor tells you, oh, well, we're hoping for 15 to 25. But by the time we check them, you might only have 10. And then you freeze them and you unfreeze. And then you might only have 3. And one only genetically is good. And you're like,
yeah, you go, yes. Yeah.
The whole hope just completely knocks. And as I'm 40, the odds and the percentages just go down. And it's like, it's disheartening.
Yeah. Because
you just feel like, wow, if I had just done this 15 years earlier, why didn't I do that? Yeah. And coming up with the money then is just as difficult as coming up with the money now. It doesn't matter because it's so expensive. Insurance doesn't cover it. Medication is out of control. And even when they're giving you coupons to get the medication at $100 off, you're still looking at $3,000.
Yeah, my God. Yeah.
So you have to really be in. And I think that's what deters people when they're younger, because it's just like, well, this is such a huge expense.
Yeah. And if you're holding the narrative of like, I don't think I'll need it, then you're struggling with that piece of it. It's like, well, am I going to spend $15,000, $20,000 if like I don't even come back and use these eggs? And so it's so hard. And I know a lot of women share that narrative, myself too, for raising at 37. I mean, I was happy with what I got, but I also said, I wish I had done this sooner.
And I think if I had broached that conversation with my mom
Yeah, let's talk about your
She
mom.
probably would have said, do it. I'll help you in any way I can.
Yeah.
And I lost my mom in 2015. And in a tragic way, and she was just my best friend. Talked to her every single day, 5 times a day. She got emails on every single boy I had ever dated, pictures, the whole thing. She wanted to know what was going on. And to her, at a certain point after a breakup, she said to me, Lyndsey, just have kids. Don't worry about getting married anymore. Just have kids. I don't care, because I want you to have kids and it's so important to me. And Dad and I are at dinner right now and we're looking over at that table over there and they've got grandkids. And I'm like, well, that's never gonna, my dad goes, well, that's never gonna happen for us.
Oh.
And like joking about it
yeah.
because they really do want it and they know that that means so much to
They know
me.
you really want it. Yeah, they know you really want it.
So that's been 9 years almost now since I lost her. It'll be 9 years in December.
Oh, gosh.
So it wasn't something that I talked about because I figured I'm still in my early 30s. It doesn't matter. It's not going to matter. It's going to happen. I kept saying, Mom, it's going to happen. Don't worry. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your whole life shifts. And now my dad is taking on the role that the relationship my mom and I had, and it's not the same.
Well, one of the things that, you had said when you and I had spoke, and, I love that you're so open on social media and that you've been sharing, and a lot is talking about your dad's help and involvement, and, which you're like, my mom would have just known. Like I would, you have to like kind of tell your dad, and he is helpful, but your mom, you said your mom would have just known what to do. My
mom was 1,200 people signed the guest book at her funeral. 1,200 in a town of 6,000. It like everybody's there. Like she was just, everybody has such wonderful things to say. And I still get comments and messages on Facebook when I post for her birthday or for, her anniversary. Like people are just like, they loved her. She was just that person that everyone could count on. So no matter what, if I felt sick, I remember getting food poisoning. She's like, do you want me to just fly out? I can just fly out and take care of you for a couple of days. Like, no, Mom, don't do that. And then meanwhile, my dad's going, I'm telling him, hey, I'm going to start this medication. I've got to be really calm. I can't work out, can't have wine. I've got all these restrictions on me. I just need you to be there for me. I can't really cook you dinner and take care of you the way that I can. And he's looking at me like I have 6 heads.
He's like, what do you mean?
He's like, what do you mean you're not going to take care of me the way that I always do?
No, Dad, you're here to take care of me.
And I'm trying to like learn how to set boundaries with him. And he ended up being really helpful. He came to acupuncture and even said, I think that I saw how much it helped you. I think maybe I could do that. And then he was there and he'd videoed me doing a couple of the shots and was able to watch and at the very least encourage.
Yeah. I think having anyone there support you is so important, whoever that's going to be. I think it can be, I guess it's also so personal. Some people feel really empowered. Some women feel empowered to do it on their own. And that journey is very important for them. Some people need, and I think really it's about identifying what you need and who you need, whether it's a support system or it feels important to do it yourself, but getting really clear on that as you go into the process.
And I didn't think I'd have to do it alone.
Yeah.
The breakup I had ended in September. And in October, I just decided I'm moving forward with this.
How happy are you that you made that decision, though, to still move forward?
To still move forward? I'm so glad. It's very hard. For me, I am a strong and independent woman, but I love having someone be a part of my life.
Yeah.
Whether it's girlfriends, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's my partner. And knowing I'm taking control and doing this for me, because at the end of the day, it's for me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm so glad that I did that, but obviously really hard to not have the person that I thought I was going to spend my life with.
Yeah, that's what you thought the plan was. And I think that's what gets so hard. And it's even everything we're saying about, I didn't think I would have to do this, is like we have a vision for our life, or we have a vision that we would ideally like our life to go. And oftentimes it's not that vision. And I think some of the work is accepting that it looks different than we thought, shifting and navigating and looking at what we have and just changing the vision. We've had so many guests on here, and I think that's such incredible advice, is like, you'll get the vision, it'll probably look different than you thought. And just accepting that it looks different is really hard.
It's almost like a choose your own adventure book. Instead of reading straight from the beginning to the end, you've got to change pages, you've got to shift, you've got to adapt to whatever circumstance it is. Losing my mom was the biggest loss of my life. And there are still moments where it's hard. And then there are moments where I'm walking into a friend's house and a hummingbird comes down.
Oh,
and
that's your
I
mom.
say, oh, that's my mom. Because I always feel like whenever I see hummingbirds, it's her. And I walked into that friend's house in Arizona and they're like, we never have hummingbirds.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
And I told my really close girlfriend when we were working, I mentioned it, and she's kind of got a little bit of a sixth sense, and she sees things. And she goes, wait, that was your mom. She just told me that was your mom.
Oh my
she felt
gosh.
it.
Oh, chills.
And when I get those moments, I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm moving forward in the right way, but it's not.
It's so hard.
Easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. I think that it confronts you in so many ways. There's so many narratives that come up. There's so many emotions that come up. You know, I did do it with a partner, and for me, that was really hard. Because we were not aligned. I mean, and everything worked out, and it's worked out beautifully. Like the vision was different, but the vision I live now is beautiful. But being with a partner that wasn't ready to do embryos or ready to have a baby and freezing was really, really hard for me. But again, everybody's journey is unique and different. So I say all that to say it's like every emotion is going to come up while you do this. Every single emotion, you're going to feel empowered, you're going to feel angry, you're going to feel frustrated. And it's like normalizing all those emotions.
And imagining too, I mean, you're freezing all these hormones.
Oh, yes.
You're injecting all these hormones and you're just and then they're telling you, like I said, I love to work out. I work out 5 days a week. I like to have a glass of wine when I'm cooking dinner. So you're taking away all the things that help make me feel a little bit more at peace and calm. But I did really, really feel the acupuncture helped. Talking to my girlfriends, having the encouragement from them. I told you this when we originally talked. I occasionally would mention this. Someone would say, when I worked at the wine bar, I was spitting that day, which was the first time I've really, really, truly just in wine, if you're doing a lot of tasting, you're going to end up spitting. And it's the first time I spit the whole shift. And it was wonderful because I've now, I think, learned fully how to taste and not drink wine. And this younger girls had asked, what are you doing? And I said, this is probably TMI, but I'm freezing my eggs and I'm not supposed to drink. And they're like, wait, what? Tell me more.
Yeah.
And they wanted to hear about it. And I encouraged both of them. I said, I know that it seems really expensive, but if this is something you want down the road, do it now while you can, because your egg health just declines as you get older and the opportunities decline. And before they left, they, said, congratulations, this is so amazing. This is so cool for you that you're doing this. And we wish you all the best of luck. And I was like, thank you so much. And they started to walk out and the girl came back in and goes, I just want you to know, like, thank you for sharing that. Like, what you're doing is really empowering.
Yeah. Oh.
And like, it is the random people that, because I have posted on social media.
Yes.
People that occasionally I would go and visit the bar I used to work at, men coming up to me and going, that's so cool, Lyndsey. That's so cool that you're doing that. I'm wishing you all the luck.
I love that support. Tell me about just some of the responses you got on social media, because you had been so open. And
I think it's hard being from the Midwest. You don't share all these things.
Yeah.
So my dad is going, why are you telling all these people this? Why are you doing this? I'm going, because I'm hoping if I can help one person do this, then I did.
Yeah, especially, right, the freezing in your 40s. It's like there might be women on there that got told the same thing or just thought it was too late. And it's like, no, it's not too late.
It's not too late.
It's not too late.
And I mean, then you hear stories too. And my current doctor, Pacific Fertility, is telling me, I just want you to know that there are people that come in and they are older and it happens for them and they conceive naturally after, or a girlfriend that I worked with saying, we tried for 2 years to have babies and could not. And we did all the right things and we could not. And finally it happened for us and they had twins. And then she goes, and then I'm not ovulating, I'm drinking, and I just got pregnant.
I know. There's so many stories like that too. Yeah.
So don't change your whole life to make something happen, because it may not change anything. It might just happen. Just
I think that's a struggle too, like what you were saying about, there's all these, what you cannot do. And I think that gets really stressful because here are all these things that I do to relieve stress. And now you're saying I'm going through this insanely stressful process and I can't do these things. And it's just trying to find that moderation or that balance of like taking care of yourself. I think it's hard too, because there's so much in this process. I'm curious what you feel about this, that like you can't control. And I think often we want to grasp to the things that we can control. So we want to do all the right things. We want to follow all the rules, but then that becomes stressful too.
Because those are the things you can control. I can control, I'm not going to get my heart rate above 140. I can take 2-hour-long walks every day. I don't have to drink. I can control those things. I can eat healthy and go to bed early and do acupuncture to get myself in more of a calm and peaceful state. But at the end of the day, if my body fails me, my body fails me. Or if that cycle does not work because I don't have enough follicles, I could have done everything right and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do think stress plays a huge role in this. And even though I'm proud that I started to go through with the process, because now I feel more prepared for this next one when I do go into my next phase, doing this weeks after a breakup, a week after finding out that someone has a partner already, like a week after you talk and you're like, we were supposed to be at this event together celebrating, and you're talking about the new girl you're seeing already.
Oh my God.
And just finding it out going, okay, nope, I'm not going to let this affect me. I am good. I am strong. I can do this. And having my acupuncturist go, I think maybe we need to heal your heart.
I know.
Like, let's work on that a little bit. And I'm traveling for work and I'm just trying to maintain a balance and stay stress-free. But there are a billion
life is happening. Life is happening,
and we are just making do and going forward with how we can.
If you're someone struggling or relating to the topics that we're talking about now, and you're feeling the anxiety or the stress or the pressure of feeling like you're running out of time, you're behind, and you want some extra support, check out my group therapy practice in Midtown Manhattan, NYC Therapeutic Wellness. We have an amazing team of clinicians ready to support you in your journey, to help you feel more grounded, to help you feel more grateful, to help you feel like you're just exactly where you need to be. So check us out at www.nyctherapeuticwellness.com.
Let's talk about just what that first experience was like for you. Like, how'd you do with the medication? How'd you deal with the shots? What was I know I've seen it all on social media, but let's share it here like as if I don't know.
It's so daunting because you're thinking you've got 3 medications. You want to mix everything properly. You don't want to mess anything up. I went over it with 2 different nurses. Then you've got videos you can watch. And, my girlfriend calls and says, this one's going to burn. Just so you know, do that one last. And so you kind of know the order. And that first initial shot, you're like, am I doing this? Am I really going to inject myself with something? This is something I never ever thought that I would do,
Yeah.
And you do it and you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. You do the next one and the next one and you make it through and you go, I can do this. And then you switch sides the next day because you don't want to do the same side. Yeah. And the next thing you know, you got bruising. And I'm like, it doesn't hurt. I've just got bruising here. And it becomes easier. I was shocked at how easy it was. I've never been.
I had that same experience. And I think that's important to talk about too, because in our minds, we build things up and we like make them more than they are. I hate needles. I'm afraid of needles, but I had the same experience. I did the first one and like the first 2 nights, I'm like, okay, this is not that bad. I can do this.
And I've never been a person that's worried about needles. I watch when they take my blood.
Oh God, I can't do that.
And they're telling me, oh, you're like a racehorse. You must work out a lot because you're just coming out. My dad, meanwhile, needs to be like laid down. He cannot talk about it. He has to like look away from it.
That's me.
So it wasn't as, I think, because I'm not as weird about it, but it is just the idea that you are injecting yourself. But then there is an empowering status. I just did this. I'm doing this on my own. No one is helping me. No one is sitting, because if my mom was here, she probably would have said to me, if you need me to, I'll inject you with it.
Yeah. I had Rob do all my shots.
You had him?
Yeah. Well, I didn't want him to because I was just, I was going through my own stuff and my frustrations and my anger, and it's not healthy, but I was like, fuck him. I don't want him to be any part of it. And my therapist at the time was like, I think you should include him. I think you should make him a part of this. And I listened to her, and I'm so thankful that I did. But that was really the only reason, because someone else was like, well, hey, wait a minute, let's think about this differently. And so, yeah, he was like a freaking like scientist mixing all the things. And it took that one piece off of it for me, because it's nerve wracking. You want to make sure you do it right and measure it right and what needs to be refrigerated. And so I just stood there and took the shot, and I didn't have to do any of that. So that was really, really nice. But I wasn't really open to that at first.
But you changed because someone told you, hey, include.
Yes.
And are you glad that you did that?
100% glad I did. 100% glad I did.
And I'm glad that my dad was out here, even though it was stressful, because he encouraged, okay, let's eat healthy. Let's go to bed early. Don't drink. Do you want to drink? And even after, I really kept true with the continue to get healthy. It's actually curbed my drinking to an extent. In Wisconsin, you walk into someone's house and they hand you an old fashioned. It is just what happens, or a beer, whatever it is. And I was like, no, good. I don't need to. And I'm glad. And the workouts, I feel like I'm in a healthier place.
Amazing.
After that breakup, I knew I would lose weight just from stress. But I feel like I'm healthier. My skin started to clear up, because I think there was so much stress going on in the last couple months that I was holding on to, inflammation and all these things. Because you read, your body keeps score. It reminds you and lets you know, maybe this isn't working. Maybe this wasn't the best.
Your body will tell you. Your body will tell you. Yeah.
And I just released all of that. And while I'm still working on healing my heart and my mind, I feel like I'm in such a better place.
I love that.
And there's hope for this next cycle, because something that I did share was going in after starting medication, finding out follicle count, giving projections, and then going in with a different doctor, because my doctor was sick, saying, you have 2 follicles. And
what was that like to hear that?
You hold it in, because you're just like, why am I doing all this?
Yeah.
How am I spending all this money? Why am I doing all this? To not even potentially have a chance.
Oh, yeah.
To have 2. And then, my nurse that was specifically with me, the doctor left the room, and she came up and she's like, it's okay. Aww. It's going to be okay. Like, we're going to figure this out, Lyndsey. And, I got back with my regular doctor, and the count was lower, which, how does the count get lower if I'm taking medication? And this is, again, completely out of my control. Yeah. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, you're doing all that.
I'm doing everything to make sure that I can. And my girlfriend had said she had gone through with a retrieval when her count was low. And she goes, don't do that. Wait if you can. And so I just had to pay the out-of-pocket costs for the blood work and for the ultrasounds. But because I'd already paid for the egg retrieval, I'm not losing anything of that. It's buying more medication again. Yeah. But essentially, everything's still banked and ready for me when the time is right.
So you did decide not to go through with the first.
I decided, she told me I had a certain amount under a certain size. And it probably wasn't going to get much better. Yeah. And rather than go through and only get a few, I said, let's just wait. Let's wait for another cycle.
Which I think is so amazing, because and when we talk about quieting the clock and running out of time, that can be a really hard decision to make. And I shared with you when we spoke, like, my impatience was a disservice to me. And I think that that's so smart and brave of you to make that decision to say, hey, I want to take a time out, pause here, and set myself up for success. I think that can be really hard, but I think that's great that you were able to do that.
I think if my girlfriend hadn't told me that, I probably would have just went through with it.
And that's the beauty of the support and having the conversations, right? You have somebody that's been through it and could say, hey, why don't you think about this? Or, hey, this was my experience. Because I think for me, my impatience drove me, and I should have waited. But it's so nice to have other women just share
and support. And because she had said I had so few this time, but the next time I had 25.
See how encouraging is that?
Yeah. I mean, and we're talking, hers doubled. Yeah. So knowing that that's a possibility, and my doctor, when I spoke to her over Christmas, had said, we're probably not going to get that many, Lyndsey. Your levels are lower. You are older than she was. We probably aren't going to get that many. But there is a chance that we're going to get more than we thought with that last one. Yeah. And then again said, This is why we don't do multiples, because someone did this. It was the last of the last that she had. She only got this many, and then she ended up with twins. And so this is why we don't do that anymore, because we want to make sure that we're concentrating and focusing on just getting the right egg. So, I'm on CoQ10 and royal jelly and taking prenatal vitamins, ones with extra DHA, to make sure at the very least, if I only get 10, man, those eggs are going to be strong little pals, ready for whatever we're doing.
How did you learn about all those supplements? Because I think that's a lot of what we don't know too, or at least what I didn't know. Like all the different supplements, all the different ways you can be eating. You're doing acupuncture. I think that's amazing. We had an acupuncturist on here earlier. Like, how did you learn about all these other things that can support you in this process?
Part of this was talking to that girlfriend that had already gone through a couple, because my other girlfriend hadn't done, I don't know if she'd done any of the vitamins or supplements. And I'm not sure she even did the acupuncture. She just did it and it all worked out. It seemed very easy. She said the actual retrieval was very, very difficult on her body. And they said, you'll be fine within 24 hours. She said that was really tough on her. My other girlfriend that is married doing the embryo freezing and everything, she didn't say that was such a big thing, but she had done so much research on this. So she was sending me articles. She was saying, when you meet your doctor, ask the success rates. That. Do this. If you have questions, ask them your questions right off the bat.
Yeah.
So when I went in, I was prepared with questions that I had looked up, that she had given me. And before I even went in, I was like, I'm getting on prenatal vitamins, because this is only going to help me. And then going through with this initial process, my girlfriend had also mentioned some of the supplements. And then my acupuncturist pushed for these and said, get them. This is just really going to help with the egg health. So now having two people and then discussing it with my doctor going, okay, can we do this? Yes. And then she put me on estrogen to try and help ramp up in between, because prior to me starting this process at 40 years old, I've been on birth control for 21 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation about the birth control.
And so to be taken off of it, it's the first time my body has not had that. And I'm going, I don't want to get back on it now. I want to stay off of that to give my body the full time to reset, get ready, especially now if I'm doing another retrieval.
Yes.
Do that. And because of timing, because of insurance, I'm all of a sudden off the estrogen and I have a breakthrough bleed, and they're telling me, well, now the timing isn't going to be the same. Of the next retrieval isn't going to be the same, because I got my period when it probably wasn't supposed to. Then I've got to start birth control for a short amount of time, and I'm going, I don't want to be on birth control at all. I'm hoping all this times. And then going, as my acupuncturist said, you just got to let it go.
The acupuncturist.
This is just, you have to accept that this is what's happening and it's okay.
That's the hard part.
But you have to accept it. How do you accept?
Yeah.
The unknown of what you don't know, that am I going to do the same thing again?
Yeah.
Am I going to go in and they're going to tell me, you only have 5 follicles? What do I do? Do I wait again?
Yeah. The unknown is so hard. Like you said earlier, like the investment is so much, not just financially, it is huge financial, but your body, your emotions and all these things. And you put this huge investment in without knowing what the return at all is going to be on the investment. And it's so hard to sit in that unknown. It's so emotional. It's so unsettling. It's really, 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 really hard. And that's why it's so important to have support. And it's so important to like what you're doing and sharing and paying it forward. And it's going to be hard no matter what.
And it's something, this is my insurance policy. I hope that it works out there's hope for the future. There are other fish in the sea. There are other opportunities. And just believing that maybe this won't even matter, but all it takes is one.
Yeah.
It's just one egg that could possibly work. Heck, if I only get one really good one and that works, then then that's all that's really going to matter.
And knowing that you were willing to do this, and knowing that you are making these choices as hard as it is to potentially preserve the option for motherhood, whether you have to use these eggs or not. And that was the biggest decision factor for me because I felt all the things that you felt. I left my consult at 37 and they were like, you're old. These are your, numbers. And I was just like, well, why the fuck am I going to do this? This is ridiculous. Like, it's so much money. I didn't have the money. I put it on a credit card and I felt the same. It's like, I was like, what the fuck is the point? And finally I was just like, I don't want to regret not trying. And I think that is the biggest thing to hold on to is just like, I know I've tried. Mm-hmm. And it's in the trying, and you like let go of the outcome and you just stay in the trying because that's what we do have control of.
And it's just, I have to try it. I have to have it. I have to have it just in case.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, I don't even know that if I got to the point where I can't have kids or it's that late, I don't know if I'd actually, or was doing it on my own. I don't know if I'd actually do it on my own. I have so many of my girlfriends who are like, if there is one person in this world that can literally have a baby and support it by herself, Lyndsey, it's you. Like, are you joking? All the things that have happened in your life, you are the one person that I believe in that could do this on your own and you would figure it out. And maybe they are right about that, but I don't know if I really want to do that.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I have friends that have done it on their own, and I didn't know whether Rob and I would align, and before everything, played out the way that it did. And I thought about that too, but you never say never. You never know where life is going to go or how you're going to feel. And had we not aligned, would I have made that choice? I might have, my desire to be a mother got so big. And we were talking before we started recording about like the marriage piece and that we are not married. And for me, I would like that, but just having the babies was more important to me. Like my desire to do that was just the priority. And I think that speaks to like, it can look any way you want it to.
And I can, right? Because the timing is really what matters. Having the baby, there is essentially a clock on that.
Yes.
I can only reverse time so much in a certain way by being healthy and doing the right things. But at the end of the day, when I hit menopause, well, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'd always talked about with partners, because like I said to you, I say right away, do you want kids? Do you want to get married? Because those are really important things to me. And I've also brought up the fact with exes, I hope I can have kids, but it's up to the man upstairs. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He's the one deciding whether I can. So even though I can say, I want this for us, I want this for me, it may not happen. So are you open to adoption?
Oh, I
want to know, I need to be a mother. Yeah. In some capacity, I need to be a mother. So if it doesn't happen in what would be considered a natural, I guess, or even chemistry, science kind of way, knowing that I can then take care of somebody else and become a mom in some, that's at the end of the day. I love
that. Yeah, we've had that message resonate so many times on here, which I think is beautiful, that if you want to be a mother and you want to have a family, you will. And it's just about how you will. And we talked about this, and your mother sounds so wonderful. And I said this to you when we first talked, is you've had such an amazing model of what it means to be a mother. So you are meant to be a mother, and you'll be an amazing mother because you had a great model.
I think that is it. It's having the mom that I had, that I want to get to raise someone and tell them all the things about their grandma that's not here.
Yeah.
And do the things that my mom did for me. And I did get to experience some of that with my exes. He had 3 kids, and have an extremely close relationship with them where they can call me, they can talk to me about things. It's moving in together. Oh, well, you'll be the second mom. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And just getting to have that and experience that was the best 2 years. It was almost harder losing them.
Oh, of course.
but a great way for me to go, yep, I'm in. Yeah. That's it. I need this.
Yeah, further validation.
Further validation that no, I'm meant to be a mom in some capacity.
I love that.
Whether it's taking on a stepmother role or having kids of my own or adopting, whatever it may be, because it's just, that is, like I said, that is what I've always wanted to do more than anything else.
I love that. So just quickly share where you're at now. When does it look like you'll start your next?
So we are prepping for potential medication start March 1st.
Okay.
I'm on the road for work for the next 2-3 weeks. And
Oh my God, and you just got back
I
here.
just got back. I leave. I go to Chicago, Dallas, Denver, and I'm all of a sudden back. And then I have a big almost 4 week window.
Okay.
Where I'm back. So come in, do our baseline ultrasound at the end of this month. And then March 1st, start medication. And they've got me on a plan, an ultrasound set. And hopefully, the week of, I think it's the 11th to the 15th, is when we would do an egg retrieval, barring everything goes as planned.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed again, if we are seeing small numbers, waiting another month.
Good for you.
Because I just want to make sure that we've got it right. I don't know. Third time, I might be like, well, we're just going to go in with this. But I'm hoping that
you're in such a different place. You're in such a different place. And I think that's like, it's so important where you started, where you went in the first time to where you are now. Sounds so tremendously different that I am super hopeful that it's going to go way differently than it did.
I think so too. I think the healing my heart and being out of the stress of that initial, which just is no good, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I took that opportunity, and now I do feel like I'm approaching it in a much healthier, better place, inside and out.
Yeah.
Ready for everything to align and work.
I just love your optimism. I love you're like holding on to the hope, even though it's been hard. I love what you're sharing, because it can be hard to hang on to hope. I love your openness to however you're going to be a mother. You'll be a mother. And it's so important. It's so important to put that sentiment out there, to put that energy out there, because it can be so hard. So I appreciate all that you're doing. You'll have to stay. We'll certainly stay in touch. I'll be texting you like, what's going on? How's it all going? Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would want to share with the audience? Something that you learned, something that you were surprised about, something that you will do different going in this time? Just something you feel like, has really helped you that you could pay forward, even more than you already have. I
do think, following rules is great. It's a good baseline, but everybody is different. So if that means you have a glass of wine in the middle of this process, because I said you can have 4 to 6 drinks a week. I just chose not to.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to give myself the best possible thing, but maybe that wasn't the best possible thing. Maybe having a glass of wine once a week will actually help me. So doing what feels right for you and just trusting in the process, because it's going to work, whether or it's not. Mm-hmm. But no amount of you tweaking your whole lifestyle to make sure that everything is just perfect.
That
adds the stress.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing. If you can truly cut down on the stress, that is where I would say that. And to encourage people, find a way, if you are younger, to pay for it, because my dad helped me pay for this. Mm-hmm. And I'm now going through almost a second round. So it's like another set where it's like, well, this is beyond my responsibility now at this point. But my dad definitely helped me. But finding a way, whether it is borrowing, whether it is putting it on credit, whatever you can do to do this when you have the best chance with the highest results.
Well, and it's like the 2 women you saw in the bar. It's like you just giving them that information sets them up for success. And now they have that little information to start looking into themselves. And fortunately, I think there's progress happening. There's more benefits. There's more companies offering it in insurance. And like, if you're 20 something and you're looking for a job, see if they have fertility benefits. Yeah, there's a way. If there's a will, there is a way.
And even if those 2 girls that I talked to are in their mid-20s and are going, we don't need to worry about this just yet, but hit that early 30s and go, I'm just going to do this now.
Yeah, remember
because
that, lady.
It's still better now than waiting. And I do think taking the opportunity at 40, I'm glad I'm doing this.
I'm so glad you're doing this. I'm so glad you're sharing this. It's just, again, it's so hopeful. I will be thinking of you every step of the way and just sending you all. And I know your mom is there with you.
She's there with me. She's encouraging it.
Yes.
She's waiting to be a grandma.
Yeah. I just had one of my very, very best friends. She did multiple rounds of egg freezing. She just had her first daughter a handful of days ago. And she also had lost her mother. And her mother shows up as rainbows. And through her pregnancy, we're always like, Penny's up there working her magic. And there's everything along the way, rainbows. And she did IVF and they implanted, and she just had her daughter. And it's so funny because her brothers all have boys. There's all boys, there's no girls. And she didn't know the sex until she gave birth. And we're all like, of course it's a girl. Penny wanted a girl. She worked her magic. And she's 43, turning 44. She just had her first baby.
It's all possible. And like you said, you're seeing the signs. The fertility, the prenatal vitamins, I opened them up. There's a hummingbird on the label. It's like, I didn't pick it because I didn't even know, because it's on when you open the case up and then you have to pull
oh my God.
Like, she's there.
Yeah, she's there.
Penny's there.
Yeah.
They are there with us along the way. And I just try and really keep my heart open to all those moments and stuff. And I share those things with my dad, because my dad and I are really close, and he encouraged and he checked in today and was like, okay, so explain to me what's going on today. What are we doing? Because he does want to be involved. It's just, he's just a very, very different kind of person than my mom was. But having the support, whoever it is, whether it is family, whether it is a partner, whether it is friends, I am so grateful for my girl tribe.
Oh my God. I'm part of your girl tribe now.
Are.
Yeah, I'm going to be checking in with you and just, I'm wishing you all the best.
That is because those are the people that are there forever.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. I'm so grateful to have you here and for you to be sharing your story, and we are going to be staying in touch.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I think it's no secret that I love the Little Words Project's bracelets. I have about 6 or 7 on my arm, ones that have been given to me, ones I've bought myself. I love giving them as gifts. I think they're so inspirational for me personally. They're nice little reminders throughout my day to have hope, to be, have strength, to be in good energy. I just love the bracelets so much. I love giving them. I love receiving them. And if you want to check them out and you want to give it as a gift or get one for yourself, you can use our code QTC for 15% off your first order.
If you like the episodes that you're hearing and you want to hear more, please subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more incredible stories and tools.
When I froze my eggs at 37, I felt alone, I felt unsure, I felt confused and uncertain. And when you're considering such a big decision, feeling those ways do not feel good. So we have created a step-by-step guide to egg freezing so no one else has to feel that way. If you are considering egg freezing, if you're curious about what the process looks like or what you should be thinking about, then this guide is for you. We were really thoughtful in how we put it together. I think it's a great guide. I think it's really comprehensive and covers a lot of the things to be thinking about, to be considering, and maybe some things you didn't even realize you should be thinking about or considering. The goal is to not have anyone feel alone in this journey. So if you're thinking about this decision, sign up through our website, quiettheclock.com, and make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at quiettheclockpod. This is a very big decision, so I don't want anyone to feel alone in it. So if you're thinking about it, grab this guide, and you can also DM me with any questions. I'm here to support you through this decision and this journey.